to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be an imagination. 6. To give some interpretation to the holy name of the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. 8. To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in Vedas as spiritive activity Karma Kanda. 9. To instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. 10. To not to have a complete faith in chanting of the holy name and to maintain material attachment even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to achieve the desired success of Krishna Prema. Once again, I welcome everyone to Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. May I know who all joined this morning?
हरे कृष्ण मीता गंधर्व की माता जी दंडवत प्रणाम शिला प्रभुपाद की जय गुरु महाराज की जय प्रीतिदासी फ्रॉम शारदा हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna Preeti Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much Mataji for joining every day and announcing your name first. Hari Bol, welcome to the call.
हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna, Deven Bavaria from.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Deven Bavaria from here, from Mumbai, first time joined. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Deven Bauriya Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much Prabhu for joining and giving your association. Please join us every day. We have every day Srimad Bhagavatam class, same time. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. And to all the assembled devotees, this is Megha from Naperville. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mega Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much Mataji for joining and giving your association. Welcome to the call. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Go ahead, Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj, all glories to assembled devotees. This is Mohini Lakshmi from Detroit.
Hare Krishna, Mohini Lakshmi Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much Mataji for joining every day and giving us with association. Welcome to the call.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Guru Maharaj Ki Jai. This is Shama Devidasi from Charlotte.
Hare Krishna, Shama Gauri Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much Mataji for joining every day and giving us with association. All glories to your services. Welcome to the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvi Mataji, Dandvat Pranam to you and all Vaishnava, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev Ki Jai, Vrinda.
Hare Krishna, Vrinda Gopika Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila. Thank you so much Mataji for joining and giving your association. Welcome to the call.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandvat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Gauranga and all the assembled devotees. Yashamati from Chicago.
Hare Krishna, Yashamati Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much Mataji for joining every day, early morning, mid morning and giving your sweet association. Welcome to the call.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all the assembled devotees. This is Indulekha Karna Devi Dasi from Lincoln. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Indulekha Karina Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much Mataji for joining every day and all glories to your services. Welcome to the call.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to the assembled devotees. This is Anita Ramya from Sharjah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Anita Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much Mataji for joining every day and giving us with association. Welcome to the call.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Danvas Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the assembled devotees. This is Shiromani Nandarani Devidasi from Krishna Kathadesh. Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Shiromani Nandarani Mataji. Nice to hear your voice every day, Mataji. Thank you so much for joining. Welcome to the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, this is Namita from Hyderabad. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all glories to the assembled devotees here. I have joined for the first time. It would be great if you can brief us what exactly this group is all about. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Namita Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to the call, Mataji. This group details will be posted in the chat box, and we have everyday Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Bhagavat classes. This group is going from more than 10 years. We do have everyday Bhagavatam class. We read verse by verse by different speakers. If you would like to join the group, there is in the chat box, we will be posting it. Please do join us.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru and Gauranga, all glories to assembled devotees. This is Sharu from Charlotte. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Charu Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Nice to hear your sweet voice, Mataji. Welcome to the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandarvika Mataji, please accept the obeisance. Jai Shri Prabhupada, this is Preeti Vilasni Devidasi from Atlanta. Thank you, Mataji, for your warm welcome.
Hare Krishna Preeti Vilasni Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining and giving your sweet association, and all glories to your services for the group, Mataji. Hare Krishna, welcome to the call.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. I offer my obeisances to all the assembled devotees, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna and welcome to the call. Nice to hear your sweet voice every day. Welcome to the call.
Thank you, Mataji. Dandavat Pranam, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandarvika Mataji, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharajis. My humble obeisances to you and all the devotees. This is Krishna Kumar Devidasi from Rana.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Kumari Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining this call for many, many years and giving your association. Welcome to the call. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Eka Radhika Leela Devidasi here. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj, and to all the assembled devotees. I've been joining, I joined earlier this year, but now I started joining again since Sunday. And I've sent you a message on the chat, Mataji, so that I can introduce myself there and ask you some questions. Thank you for having me here, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Eka Radhika Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining us regularly and giving your association. Welcome to the call.
And very beautiful chanting. Mataji joins very early for the chanting.
Yeah, we would like to chant 3 times Hari Bol. Whoever joined for the first time, please do join us every day. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari
Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Welcome to all the new members to the group. Please do join us. So I don't see Prabhuji yet in the call. If anybody wants to introduce, they can introduce, or else we can start the record. Is there anybody who would like to introduce them? Hare Krishna, everyone.
So sorry, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandarvika Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharajas, and all glories to the assembled devotees. This is Tiffany in Pennsylvania. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Tiffany Mataji. I was missing your voice. I was thinking, where are you? Why didn't you announce your name? Welcome to the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. Today we are very fortunate to have His Grace Braja Mohan Prabhu ji to enlighten us on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th canto, 4th chapter, 15 to 17 verses. Before I hand over the call to Prabhu, I request Raj Prabhu to give brief introduction on today's speaker. Raj Prabhu, over to you.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dhanva Pranam to you and all the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Shri Guru and Gauranga. There is a brief introduction for Prabhuji. His Grace Braja Mohan Prabhu is a monk, a life coach, and an inspirational speaker. Prabhuji is a disciple of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj and a resident monk at ISKCON Chowpatty in India. He is a student's mentor at IIT Bombay, where he also earned a BTech degree. Prabhuji has a Master of Science degree in quantum physics from University of Illinois, Chicago. Prabhuji has given seminars on science, spirituality, leadership, relationships, and self-development. He has been speaking on various topics at prestigious universities and at several corporations in the US and in India for over a decade. Using ancient wisdom for current dilemmas, his message inspires the audience to think deep, act right, and live full. There is a brief introduction for Prabhuji. Over to you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat.
Thank you so much, Raj Prabhu, for the brief introduction. Hare Krishna, Braja Mohan Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Pleasure to be with the devotees.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for joining and giving your valuable time and association this morning and enlightening us on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam. Please take over the call, Prabhu. Ribol.
I'm just, can you give me 5 minutes or you can read through the verses and translation and purport?
Yeah,
by the time fully available.
Sure, Prabhuji. So, Induleka Mataji, would you like to read?
Hare Krishna. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Text 15. Alam dagdhair drumair dinai khilanam shivam astuva varkshihya esha varakanya patnitve pratigruhyatam. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. There is no need to burn these poor trees any longer. Let whatever trees still remain be happy. Indeed, you should also be happy. Now here is a beautiful, well-qualified girl named Marisha, who was raised by the trees as their daughter. You may accept this beautiful girl as your wife. Text 16. Ityam amantriya vararoham kanyam apsara simripa somo rajayayav datva te dharmeno paye mire. Translation. Shukadev Goswami continued, my dear king, after thus pacifying the Prachetas, Soma, the king of the moon, gave them the beautiful girl born of Pramlocha Apsara. The Prachetas all received Pramlocha's daughter, who had high, very beautiful hips, and married her according to the religious system. Text 17. Tebhyastasyam samabhavad daksha prachetasah kila yasya praja visargena loka apurritastraya. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. In the womb of that girl, the Prachetas all begot a son named Daksha, who filled the 3 worlds with living entities. Purport. Daksha was first born during the reign of Swayambhuva Manu, but because of offending Lord Shiva, he was punished by having the head of a goat substituted for his own head. Thus insulted, he had to give up that body. And in the 6th Manvantara, called the Chakshusha Manvantara, he was born of the womb of Marisha as Daksha. In this connection, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quotes this verse. Chakshushe tva antare prapte prak sarge kala vidrute yah sarja praja ishta sa daksho daiva chodita. His previous body had been destroyed, but he, the same Daksha, inspired by the supreme will, created all the desired living entities in the Chakshusha Manvantara. Bhagavatam 4:30-49. Thus Daksha regained his previous opulence and again begot thousands and millions of children to fill the three worlds. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, are you ready to start the class, Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, thank you very much for reading out. Om Ajnanatindasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshuru Meditam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadanti Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padavala Shri Guru Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sarvana Raghunathan Tam Tapsadev Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijanasahitam Krishna Chaitanya Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sarvana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sude Devi Pranamami Hari Pancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasana Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna. It's my great pleasure and privilege to be with the devotees of Bhakti Sangha. And today we are discussing from the 6th canto, 14th chapter, 5th chapter, verse number 15, right?
4th chapter, Prabhuji.
4th chapter, Hamsagoya prayers, verse number 15 and to 17. Unexpectedly, my father called me to book an Uber for him. So then I got delayed. So this section of the Bhagavatam is where we see how apparently somebody who is supposed to be very exalted after doing so much tapasya is getting angry, and someone who has been known for being materialistic is now getting purified and is becoming engaged properly. So both we see the both sides of the coin here. The result of anger that can lead to, and as the Bhagavatam, the previous verses, it says that the 10 sons of Prachini Bari, they were sent to the waters, into the waters to do tapasya, and they did very well. But when they came out, they were upset with what they saw. That the whole Earth planet was taken over by the trees, and they didn't like that. They didn't like that situation, and they got angry so much that they started to burn the trees into ashes. And how can someone who has gone for spiritual elevation get angry? And someone who is tapodipita manyava, that whose anger was inflamed because of long austerities. And this is one of the consequences that when someone does austerities, then most probably those austerities cause austerities cause intolerance. And therefore, the biggest austerity is to tolerate one's others' limitations and one's own ego, not able to withstand others' shortcomings. Here, they went to get purified. The Prachini Parishad sons, who were called as Prachetas, they went to get purified, but along with their purification, there was also that tinge of intolerance. And so, to which side of the coin do we see in the Prachetas? Do we see their spiritual absorption, that they were meditating, they were doing this tapasya under the waters for quite some time, or do we see that they got angry and they started to burn? We see a similar episode in the first canto of the Bhagavatam, where Janamejaya, he was a small child when Parikshit Maharaj had passed away, and he exactly didn't know that how his father passed away. Nobody had clearly told him as a small child. So when he became a king after some years, then he got to know that his father had passed away because of a snake bite, and he became so angry at the whole race of the snakes that he wanted to annihilate them, and he did this Sarpayagya. And in the Sarpayagya, all the snakes that were there anywhere in the creation, they were all coming there, being annihilated. And then some of the serpents go to Indra and they take his shelter. And then Indra comes to rescue, and he convinces Janamejaya that this is, of course, the Mahabharata has longer story that what all happened, how exactly the snakes were saved in the Sarpayagya. In fact, that's how Mahabharata begins, with this discussion of the Sarpayagya and the history of the snake dynasty, and how Garuda had, and how there was enmity between Garuda and the Sarpas, because the family, they were from the same family, like same father, but two mothers, Kadru and Vinita. Kadru was the mother of snakes, and Vinita was of Kashyap's wife. Vinita was the mother of birds, and how they had animosity, wanted to prove that they were better, and then turned out that snakes became slaves of the birds. Garuda, the birds were cheated, and Vinita, the whole bird dynasty, was enslaved by the snake dynasty, and then how Garuda rescues them. It's a very exciting story that's there in the Mahabharata first section. And then and herein we again see that the great the 10 sons of Prachini Bhari, and this episode actually stops in the third canto. Of course, in the fourth canto also, they all go, and you may remember, Lord Shiva comes there and he gives instructions. That's in the fourth canto. Just checking the chapter, Rudragit. Rudragit is in the fifth. Narada instructs the Prachetas, but even and then the sixth canto, that's how fifth canto ends. And in the fifth canto, the discussion changes to, and Prachetas' discussion doesn't come. It ends with, in the fourth canto, the last chapter is Narada instructs the Prachetas, and seeing where Bhagavatam ends the Prachetas discussion. Yeah. Narada Muni, first Lord Shiva instructs, and then Narada Muni instructs Prachetas. And so hearing from Narada Muni's mouth the glories of the Lord, which vanquish all the ill fortune of the world, the Prachetas also became attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Meditating on his lotus feet, they advanced to their ultimate destination. This is Bhagavatam 4th canto, 31st chapter, verse number 24. And so they went into the waters to meditate, and this is where, just before this episode, Lord Shiva had also come to instruct, and then Narada Muni comes to instruct. And now, and we see that even after the association of all these great souls, they got angry. They got upset over the trees. Trees are, sometimes, it happens that we get angry on inanimate objects also. We get angry on the stool because we wrongly hit the stool, and we may beat up the stool, we may break something. And that's understood for a conditioned soul, for somebody who is still a very much a sadhaka. But the Prachetas, Prachini Barish, that they also got angry for the trees, and because they saw that there is no place for them for any other living entities to move, because the entire space was occupied by the trees. When the Chernobyl incident happened in Russia, many of you may know Chernobyl was a nuclear disaster. There was a nuclear plant there, and that burst, and that entire place had so much radiation that people died there, or the entire place was evacuated, and everything that was there had burned to ashes. And after some years, I think after some 20 or 30 years, when people went back to check the radiation levels, of course, the radiation levels were much less than what it was before. And the whole place was again filled with so much vegetation, so much, whatever were the broken buildings, over that creepers grew, and nature took back. Nature took back its place where it was a huge nuclear plant. Now the real plants were all there. So this is the nature of trees usually, that they just keep growing. They don't have any kind of thought on how much to grow and where to grow, and which is obviously a mistake on part of trees. And but for Prachetas, it wasn't a proper act to be done. One way to see this is inspired by the Lord for a particular pastime, that is the Daiva angle. Another is the human angle, the Manushya, that how we can see that how, in spite of spiritual advancement, sometimes our anarthas can totally overcome us. Like in the Govardhan Leela, Indra was a very elevated personality, and being such an elevated personality, and being receiving worship from so many people, he was not dependent on that one particular village offering of their shares. the whole concept of yajna is like today. Wow, you can compare with today's share market. That each one invests their own little bit of shares of whatever they have, and then collectively it becomes something gigantic, and both are benefited, the investor, the company, and also the one who is investing, the customer. And there were different recipients of those shares for their services that they were doing, and it was a common practice that all over India Indra Puja was done as a mark of gratitude. It was not that he was going to lose his shares, or he was very much dependent on just in that particular village feeding him. It was always a mark of gratitude, but he felt entitled to it. And so he got angry. Indra got angry that how can these Brajvasis be so impudent that they forget to worship me, and he tries to destroy them by water. He sends in so much water clouds on Vrindavan, and Krishna wanted to humble Indra by showing that you may be thinking that you are the supreme, you are the boss, but to make him come to his senses, he does this pastime of lifting the Govardhan hill, and beautiful pastime. We just completed Kartik month, and the Govardhan Lila episode, 7 days of festival for the Brajvasis, where they all see so much joy because they all could come close to Krishna for 7 days, 7 nights. And so Indra tripped, and herein Prachetas also trip. They get angry and they generate wind and fire, by which the entire tree community was at risk. And as the verse says that the moon god, he comes to rescue, and he tells the Prachetas that please don't kill all the trees, please don't destroy all the trees, they are not at fault fully. And he appeases the anger of Prachetas, and this is the greatness of Prachetas, that when someone counsels them, then they become pacified. It's not that their anger is so much that they just take over. And and this is where he's trying to convince them that before this, he in Soma, moon god, he is speaking to them philosophy, speaking to them understanding that Supreme Lord is in everyone's heart, everyone's body, and so therefore the temple is the body is a temple of the Lord, and it is not proper to destroy anyone's body, and so we should respect. And so he gives that talk of self-realization, and he also speaks that when we overcome our anger, then we can overcome the influence of the modes of nature. So this way he speaks. And Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says that once So he starts to speak the philosophy. They get pacified a little, but they're not fully pacified. So there is a common way in which we try to pacify someone. This is used in diplomacy in trying to negotiate, called as Samadhana Danda Veda. You might have heard this, that the four aspects in which we try to negotiate. So Sama is speaking very sweet words, glorifying the other person. Oh Prabhu, you have done so much. How much service have you done for the mission? And so we try to please the other person and get his goodwill, that we are not here just to against you, but we do recognize your contribution. And many times people get angry because they feel not acknowledged. So therefore, Sama is where you acknowledge their devotional service, and herein that's what Indra Soma does. That he does glorify them. He glorifies their entire dynasty, saying that your father have ordered you to generate population, and herein you are doing opposite one. And you have, for in verse 11 he says that the path of goodness was traversed by your father, grandfather, great grandfather. That so you should also follow. And so he is kind of glorifying their dynasty and their superiors, and how we should. And then he also speaks Veda of about differentiating our the philosophy aspect, how we need to identify the Supreme Lord in each and every living entity. Veda has different connotations, but what acharyas speak here is that Veda is philosophical understanding, which he tries to give. That is not just because your forefathers did, but this is the natural duty of every human being to protect and care for all living entities. So he also gives that. And in terms of danda, they also speak that if you don't, if you pursue this anger, then then we will all be destroyed. The entire, we're all dependent on the trees. The trees are the ones who give us herbs and roots. And just like every living entity is food for others, that is a nature's arrangement. So we should not unnecessarily think that others are an impediment to me, and how having the trees is actually helpful. It is for the prosperity. And you are going against the purpose for which you have been sent. The 10 prachetas were sent for progeny, so that before entering Grahastha ashram, they all were asked to do tapasya, so that they become ready for taking up that service. So preparing for the service is a very important aspect, and we should take lesson from the prachetas. But in course of their preparation, they also became angry that some things were not ready for their service, and instead of seeing that this is an opportunity for service, they started to see this as an obstacle to my service. I remember once I went to one program. It was a Pushpabhishek program, and when I went there, things like hardly everyone was plucking flowers. Nothing was ready, and immediately the first emotion that I got was to get angry. That what is this? Nothing is ready. Why did they call me so early? But then I reflected, but what can these devotees do? They are all having their own schedules, tight schedules. They are all trying to do their best. And if I've come already and now I can't change my time, change the entire, I can go back to 1 hour back and be at the temple to read or manage other services. Now that I'm here, let me see this as an opportunity to do some service, help in flower plucking, which usually we don't get to do. Already flowers are plucked. So let me see this as an opportunity to serve rather than blame devotees that they are. There is a managerial angle that can be there, but there is a human devotional angle with which you see, oh, let me contribute. And Giriraj Maharaj speaks this story that Prabhupada was once asked by one of the temple presidents that Prabhupada, that I'm managing one small little center and I see so many problems to do this thing, that thing. Recently, I was talking to a devotee who manages a devotee school or small little play school, and she was saying, we earlier we had the problem of making finances meet, that the play school should be able to bear its rent and other things, and somehow we got some sponsors and made the play school self-sufficient, and after that I thought problem is solved. But then when this devotee was telling that how parents how they pounce upon even small little remark that is given on the students, or how some students create so much trouble in the classroom, and you can't teach, you don't go as much as you want. So when all these problems she was sharing that, then in this small little school that just handles some 50 kids, there's so many issues to address. So like that Prabhupada was being told by one temple president. So many problems is this. So you go everywhere and you might be seeing so many more problems. So how do you keep saying, how do you address them? So Prabhupada brilliantly said that problems, I don't see any problems. All I see is opportunities to serve, opportunities to help. So in the kitchen, prasadam is not ready. Program is happening and prasadam is not ready. You can see that as a problem. This devotee is very lazy, this or that. So that, but you can see, oh, this is an opportunity for me to go and help make prasadam. So at home or in the temple, we can either see something as a problem or something as an opportunity to contribute, to help out. And herein the Prachetas were being helped out by moon god to understand the situation, not behave recklessly, not behave rashly. And then Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur again gives this understanding that even after that, Sama was used, Beda was used, Danda was not used, that they were not punished, but they were told the consequences of their actions. That is Danda. And then herein Dana is being used in verse 15. And verse 15, moon god is saying that there is no need to burn these poor trees any longer. Let whatever trees still remain be happy. Though, okay, let's not, we cannot rewind the situation. Let's not correct everything. Whatever is the situation of jitne bhi trees bache hain, let those trees remain. And your issue was, you wanted to create progeny and you need some help. So let me offer you the help that the trees have a daughter that they raised called as Marisha, and this daughter that was raised by the trees, please accept her as your wife. And that beautiful girl's name was Marisha. Marisha seems to be like a Western name, but it's there in the Bhagavatam. And she was born of Pramlocha Apsara, which also is told. And from Pramlocha Apsara and these 10 Prachetas, a son was born whose name was Daksha, and he was being given a second chance to rectify himself. And this is one episode apart from the Draupadi's episode where for one girl there were multiple husbands. And in fact, this episode was quoted when Draupadi and all the Pandavas were very confused that how can five marry one? And in Mahabharata, this particular section was episode was quoted that sometimes by the divine will of the Lord, that the Lord arranges things in such a way that there are for 10 people there are one wife, and they all cooperated. They all got a child named as Daksha. It is said Daksha was the combination of all of their semen put together, and a very powerful soul had come who was very expert in multiple things, but also very much expert in creating progeny in sex life. And and even then it is said Daksha was trying to this comes later. Daksha was trying to create progeny, but in between he was not able to create really progeny properly the way he wanted, and he got fed up and he gave up his service. He gave up that task and he went to the forest, known as Agamarshana, which comes later, to do tapasya, to please the Lord, because the fathers had done tapasya to create progeny. But when Daksha was born, Daksha, it seems that he immediately started to do his service, and somehow he was not successful in his service. So then he also went to do austerities. He also went to please the Supreme Lord, because once you please the Supreme Lord, then we are empowered into our service. And then he offers beautiful prayers, which is the name of this chapter. The exact name of this chapter, the prayers, the Vamsagriya prayers offered to the Lord by Prajapati Daksha. So in some of the prayers that we find in the Bhagavatam are not pure prayers, that they were just offered in out of gratitude, out of pure devotion. Some of the prayers are offered as a request for a boon, a benediction, or a request to prepare themselves for a particular task. And this is one such prayer, but still, because it is coming in the Bhagavatam, it is worthy. It is very much important for us to go through this prayer and see that all these personalities, they had a very proper understanding of our scriptures. It was not that they sometimes being so much service oriented, we don't really grasp the philosophy. Or there are some devotees who know the philosophy well, but they are not much service oriented. But we see that herein or in many cases in the Bhagavatam that both are needed. That we should be service oriented and we should also be scripture oriented. Prabhupada was once recently, Guru Prasad Maharaj was here, and he was telling a story that in Mayapur there was a devotee who was just chanting, and not chanting, reading. He was reading, and the devotee, the management there was quite upset that he was not ready to do any service. He was not ready for any service. So the devotees went to Prabhupada, and they were telling that Prabhupada, this devotee is not doing any service. And I was asked, why is he not doing? Is he not doing any service? then Prabhupada was told, all that he's doing is just read entire day and is not taking any practical service. Then Prabhupada said, so he's reading not a service? And they were all taken aback and they were made aware that reading is also service. But logistically, managerially, if everybody is just starts to retire, I will just read or I will just chant. So much needs to be done in a temple, in an organization. So they couldn't, argue with Prabhupada, because Prabhupada said even reading is service. But then Prabhupada said, but if he's truly reading, then he will know that he should serve. So the result of reading is that he will engage in service. So, and that's where Prabhupada stopped, and all the leaders, they became happy that Prabhupada balanced both of them. He also gave credit that someone is reading, and that's a service. At the same time, devotees should also physically do some contribution, some support to the mission. And so here with Daksha, with that he was ready, he was trying to do his service, but when the service was not happening, then he turned to Krishna and he offered these beautiful prayers, which are filled with so much understanding of the universe, the Lord's position, the nature of three modes, and how desires can overcome us, and how we can be overcoming our conditionings by surrendering to the Supreme Lord. So amazing prayers he offers. So we should take these lessons that one is the influence of anger. It can even bewilder somebody as great as the Prachetas, as great as Dhruv Maharaj. In the fourth canto, Dhruv Maharaj also becomes overcome by anger. His brother was killed by the yakshas, and then he becomes so angry to go and kill all the yakshas, and there was such a fight, and then he was. But the good thing is that a person is good, is good even if he does a mistake. If he's told, then he understands and then he rectifies. So that's the difference between somebody who is an evil, vicious person and one who is a wise person. A wise man, he accepts feedback and he rectifies. But somebody who is evil, he doesn't accept any feedback and he doesn't rectify. But here in Daksha's parents, Prachetas, they did a mistake, but that mistake was pacified by Soma, tried all different means, Sama, Dana, Danda, Veda, and ultimately offered Dana. He gave the Marisha in charity, in marriage to the Prachetas, and then the Prachetas, begot Daksha. Imagine so much austerity they did, and all they begot was one son. And who was supposed to create progeny. And he tried, and apparently it seemed that he failed. But then he again, he offered prayers, and at the end of it, we see that he actually does his service very nicely, and that service he does by actually creating daughters, not sons. First, he was thinking that I'll expand by creating sons, but that didn't work. And even when it worked in the previous, he does create sons first, and they were all taken by Narada Muni, and Narada Muni was cursed. And then Daksha thinks that no matter how many sons I create, they're all becoming brahmacharis. So then he creates daughters. He takes another path. And through the daughters, he gets married, and then his service is complete. So many times, the way we want to do our service, we may need to be empowered. We may need to pray properly, and even after that, the way we think I'll do my service, that may not work. There may be another way, or that service results in helping someone else, and then our service can be executed in some other means. So, for Krishna consciousness and serving Krishna is very dynamic. We are always, we don't know how, our contribution, how will we be able to offer to the mission. But we learn from these stories that how the effects of anger, the need for counseling, the need for having a devotee being open for someone to come and tell us that we are doing a mistake, and Prachetas were open to Moon God to come and tell them their mistake. They were not saying, do you know who we are? We are the sons of Prachinibari, who was the son of Swayambhu Manu, and they didn't boast themselves. They were ready to hear. And the need for counseling, we learn from this, and then the need to accept a very different situation which occurred to them, that they all have to together marry one daughter, one girl, and create progeny. A unique situation, but because it was the order of the superiors, they executed that service. And then now we see how he was very sincere to offer prayers because he was not able to be successful in his service. And then how we eventually, after so many attempts, finally Daksha was able to do his service properly. So we should not be demoralized when our attempts to chant, our attempts to preach don't work well. It's all a journey. It's all a learning process, growing process. We should keep our hearts open, minds open, receive feedback, and keep trying to serve. Angry on the Shiva.
Hare Krishna.
I'm sorry, I was just closing my eyes and speaking. Did I just go off just now or a while back?
Yes, Prabhu, just a second ago. Other than that, it was very nice. Yeah.
So, just summarizing the different lessons that we can take from this story. That how it takes sometimes lifetimes. And Prabhupada did say this, that it will take minimum 3 lives for someone to become purified and go back to God. He basically references this to the story of Bharat Maharaj's life, that Maharaj had to take 3 lives before he got purified. And often Prabhupada did say that, but if somebody is sincerely serving the spiritual master, following the 4 regulative principles and chanting 16 rounds sincerely, then he can go back to God even in this lifetime. But all we want to do is try to please Guru and Krishna to the best of our capacity, whether we falter or because of our anarthas, because of limitations that we have in our abilities. That is up to the Lord. So I'll stop here, see any discussion, any questions that you would have.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dhanavad Pranam. Very beautiful class, Prabhu. How you incorporated Sam, Dam, Danda, Ved in the class was nice. I have heard these words, of course, being from India especially, but never really think into that. But it was nicely incorporated by you in the class. As you said, Prabhu, Marisha Ji, who had now so many husbands, and you were saying that Draupadi is Maharani is another example. And I was thinking also, Prabhu, Kunti Maharani can be example too, even though she don't married Suryadev and Yamraj, but she got the sons from them. So she can be example too, maybe, Prabhu?
Yeah, she can also be an example.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you. Very beautiful class, Prabhu. Thank you so much for coming on the call, and thank you for enlightening all of us with such a beautiful class, Prabhu. So many lessons, of course, we can learn from Srimad Bhagavatam. Of course, every purport, every translation, if we just dig deep and want to learn something that is useful, we certainly have things to learn. And from this chapter of Prachetas also, of course, one can see how a devotional service person is being angry. On the other side, of course, as you explain in a class, we can certainly learn lessons and just follow what our seniors have taught us and just go from there, Prabhu, in our devotional life. So thank you so much, Prabhu. Very beautiful class, Prabhu. I liked especially how you explained the Sam, Dam, Danda Ved. So dear devotees, if anybody has any questions or realizations for Prabhuji, please raise your hand or please unmute yourself and go ahead. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much for such a wonderful class, Prabhuji, and how we all can be subjected to anger, and it happens to us also, and how we deal with it is what makes a huge ocean of difference. And thank you for the personal example also from your life. So it puts things in perspective. It's very easy for us to look at the Prachetas and wonder why, why did they do so much tapasya? They did a lot of devotional service, and finally, how come they got so angry? But it happens to you, any one of us too. So thank you so much, Prabhuji. There was a hand raised by Haripriya Mataji, and Anasuya Mataji is unmuted, but we can't hear her.
So true, Indulekha Mataji. We certainly get angry and then it's difficult. So that particular moment is very difficult, but certainly devotional service is helping us. We all know that the chanting of Maha Mantra is certainly helping us in our life. So true, so true. So Her Grace Haripriya Mataji, Hare Krishna, are you there?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam to all of the devotee, and Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Prabhuji, you just asked the Prabhuji that Kunti Maharani, about Kunti Maharani, and how can we understand that? Because in my thinking, Kunti Maharani got blessing from all the demigods. She didn't marry them. And it's a big thing because he is a very pure devotee. So it's very hard to understand this,
Yes, with Kunti, as Prabhupada gives an example, the laws that we kind of follow shouldn't be fully kind of applied on the exalted personalities. Like Prabhupada gives an example that somebody is on the road, he is waiting for the traffic signal, and he looks at the flight and he says, why is the flight not stopping for the red signal? So there are different laws that govern them. So with Kunti Maharani, definitely it's not that she was married to all this. It was that they blessed her with their expansion to be in her womb. But in the understanding that it was like she had the son of Surya Dev in her womb. She had the son of, so the father was Surya for Karna and the mother was Kunti. The son was Dharmaraj for Yudhishthir and the mother was so if there was no legal marriage, so this is out of wedlock, which is even more questionable topic. But it was all the situation that demanded for dharma to be established all these empowered personalities need to take birth, and Kunti became an instrument. We should understand that way. And her intentions were pure to serve. At the same time, that curiosity that she had before marriage, that also resulted in karma. So scriptures never hide someone's apparent mistakes. At the same time, they don't devalue the person. Like Bhishma did apparently so many decisions that went wrong. Yudhishthir, so managerially or in terms of strategy wise, he should not accepted the whole gambling, but he did accept. So what devotee should understand is that the spiritual journey of his soul and the behavioral or managerial aspects of a devotee are two different things. We should not equate them. Bhishma is in his own personal connection to the Lord. It was always very pure, but he was in a situation where he had to support adharma, apparently. And it was, of course, the Lord's Leela, but he also chose to do that with the wrong understanding that this is what he gave prominence to following the throne than adharma, than being stated to dharma. So, yes, managerially or behaviorally, we see that there are difficulties even with exalted devotees, but we should not undermine their spiritual journey because of that. So, therefore, the mind and the body will go through its ups and downs, but the journey of the soul and is dependent on the sincerity of the individual. And that sincerity comes out with Bhishma at the end of life, where he just outpours his devotion to the Lord. And so even with Prajita, so even with us, when we see some advanced devotee, some senior sannyasi or some devotee having some difficulty, that it is bodily situation, it is the physical aspect, behavioral aspects that shouldn't be judging or a reason for undermining their spiritual journey. Both can need not be at the same level. Of course, we all try to behave well. It cannot be justification, but in case we see apparent, then we differentiate that the journey of the body and the mind and of the soul need not be, because the journey of the body is very much based on their karmical influences, but the journey of the soul is independent of karmic influences. It's based on the sincerity with which someone is seeking the Lord. So with Kunti, with Prachita, or with Bhishma, or with any advanced, or with Indra, we learn from that, but at the same time we don't think that they are not advanced enough. Okay.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Haripriya Mataji. Certainly, we have uttermost respect for or Kunti Maharani or Draupadi Devi or anybody described in our Puranas, our scriptures, Srimad Bhagavatam. What to say about Srimad Bhagavatam? When we start chanting mantra and we start seeing Krishna in everybody's heart, even if he's a meat eater, we still give him respect. So certainly we have respect for all of our, especially the names mentioned in scriptures, Draupadi Maharani, Kunti Maharani, everybody, certainly. Thank you, Mataji, for the question. Our very senior devotee, His Grace Prahlad Anand Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prahlad. Please accept my
okay. Now, thank you very much, Rajas Prabhu, and Danvat Pranam to Braja Mohan Prabhuji and all the Vaishnavas. I just have some little reflection about the anger the Prachita had, and I personally get angry so many times, but my anger has become less now. I'm becoming more human being now, especially after being chastised by Guru. Guruji, like that. But there's another aspect of anger also. Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Krishna says that this is one of the three gateways to hell, Kama, Krodha, Lobha. And he's also mentioning that, Krodha is one of the great enemies for us. But Srila Prabhupada also mentions that unless Hanumanji was angry, how could he burn Lanka? Right? And unless how Arjun was angry, he would fight like that. So anger has that element of service in the, in service of say Lord or Guruji like that. Recently I was at one of the temples in California. There is a Swaminarayan temple there, Chino Hills, and discussing with some of the devotees there, they blasphemed Lord Krishna. And I got so angry. I told that anyone who blasphemes Lord Krishna is certainly going to hell. So I was so I said I should not get angry like that. But after that, I mentioned this to other devotees. I said, this was a mistake I did. They said, no, this was not a mistake. You did the right thing. So this is what happens in our life like that. We get angry like that. But if we have centered life on Srimad Bhagavatam, I think Bhagavan Krishna Gurujan will all pardon us and make some spiritual progress. So this was a little reflection I had. Thank you for allowing me to speak, Prabhuji. And
thank you to all. Thank you, Prahlad Prabhu. So true. Even in our everyday life, we see mothers and fathers, we do get angry on our kids, especially if they're doing something wrong. So it's nothing wrong in managerial position or in our daily life to correct someone. Yes, anger is required sometime. And Srila Prabhupada, he got angry so many times when the things not go well. Yes, because that's why we are here today. So thank you, Prahlad Prabhu. Very beautiful point. Anger sometimes is required, and it is right now here. Our Shamagori Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for coming on the call and giving your association. Thank you so much. Yeah, very true. To control your anger, and you have to be patient to not to get angry. It's all the time because we are always busy going to the programs. And what happens before going, my Prabhu gets angry that, oh, you are not ready. And when we go there, the other party, they are not ready. One time we went, we were fast we did, and we went and we saw they were not at all ready. They were in normal clothes, and they were making puris. So we helped them making puris, and we said, go get ready first. Like that. So we have to be patient. Otherwise, it's very easy to get angry. Thank you so much for the beautiful class.
Very easy. And it's like we have a plan, and and then the plan doesn't happen, then immediate is that, because that is coming from that desire to control, desire to of certainty that we are not ready for unplanned situations. So
yeah,
so that upset. So thank you much.
Thank you so much.
Keep on pulling me into this beautiful sangha. Many times I'm not able to accept your request, but whenever I can, do try.
You are busy, Prabhuji. That's why I'm not ready to accept. I know.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. Thank you for inviting Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I actually, I don't know if it's many days that I was thinking. One day I was meditating on this Kam, Krodh, Lobha, Moh, Mad, Matsarya, and I'll share to you, Prabhu, and maybe you can actually complete this equation. So, I start with the Kam, Krodh, Lobha, Moh, Mad, Matsarya, okay? So, Prabhu, when we have Krodha, we don't have Kama. So let's talk at the bodily sense gratification. If we have Krodha, we have anger, we don't want to do really any Kama, we are angry. We don't want to do that. And then when we have Lobha, we don't have anger, because our greediness, our, we want that, we have lobha, and then we don't get angry. And actually, I am connecting this also to this episode. This Pracheta's got the beautiful daughter, Marisha, and then the anger is gone. And when there is a Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moha. And when we have Moha, and then we don't have the Lobh, the greed is not there. For example, our kids, if I am so attached to them, so then there is no question of greed at all. Lobh, Moha, Mad, pride. And when there is pride, there is no Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moha. And when there is pride, there is not Moha. Because when I am like proud, and then there is no question of, I'm like, it's only me, there is no question of Moha then. And when there is envy, and then there is no pride. And when there is envy, I'm jealous of somebody. I'm envious of someone, why he's there, I'm not there. And then there is no question of pride, because he is already upper position than me. So everything is starting from envy, starting from envy. But why envy comes, Prabhu? If we can finish the envy, I think Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Mad, Matsar will always go. Because I was realizing the point by point by point, but then I'm like, the equation is not complete. Of course, we can, as a devotees, we can say, chant more Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Prabhuji, and the envy will go away. But sometimes it's like, why we get, Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Mad, Matsar. So something is missing in that equation. And today everybody is talking about growth. So I said, okay, I'll talk about what I'm thinking of so many days.
It's an interesting perspective, Bhuji. Usually what I've heard is that they are all like coupled gang. They all come together. So if you get influenced by one, then the other aspects may not be at the forefront, but they are all part of each one. Can turn into the other one. Kama can turn into Krodha, Kama can turn into Lobha, or but at one point you may have one emotion is more prominent and others may not be kind of seen. But जैसे हिंदी बोलते हैं सब मिली वक्त, they're all together. They're a very united team. That's why you try to reduce one thing, you try to reduce desire, then anger pops up. You try to increase desire, then anger pops up. So they are all supporting, feeding into each other. And therefore, of course, envy is the most difficult one because it's very subtle emotion. And that's why Bhagavatam says, Dharmo projita kaita vatram paramo nirmastaranam sata. That matsarya, that the being jealous of others, not feeling that others are better, that I am better than others, or compare with others. That's a very that's the root cause of all trouble in this world. But all of them are for different diseases. Somebody is coughing more, somebody is sneezing more, but all are infected by the material disease.
Yes, Prabhu. Now I had a formula now. Every time you see someone superior, you just think Krishna has given us this ability. So there is no point of being envy. Then anybody has anything, any quality, anything extra, then you think that he has extra. Krishna has given him. So that's the formula that I use usually. So it helps actually. And then you love that person actually, because Krishna is in him. So Krishna is helping him, and Krishna is awarding him all that. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Very beautiful answer. Certainly envy is the root cause. Prabhuji, there is a small question from our very regular devotee, Jyoti Mataji. She attends the classes pretty much every day, I think. Even I don't attend every day. So Mataji is asking, Prabhuji, we know that trees do have soul. So we offer bhoga it to Lord and become prasadam, of course. And then why trees are on the target to be burned in this episode? Maybe Mataji is asking, certainly. Please share your point of view and teach us on this.
So that was a point that the are living entities, and so they should not be burned. They have souls, and their journey was being impeded by Pracheta's anger. Their journey to be in the souls, and of course, when we do take something from the trees, we don't end the existence of the tree. Usually, we take some leaf or fruit. Usually, plucking an entire tree for sake of the food is considered more sinful than just plucking a leaf. That you take from someone something in such a way that their growth, their existence is not impeded. So when we do that, then it is not sin. But when you impede their growth, that's what Prabhupada defines ahimsa as stopping someone's growth is ahimsa. So here, burning their entire existence as trees was trouble. But when we just take a leaf or something, it is actually utilizing their like you're allowing them to serve Krishna. That if you don't engage also, then people feel valueless. If you engage too much also, people become burnt out. So we do need to engage natural resources, but not in an exploitative way, the way Prachetas kind of apparently did. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu. So true. So beautiful formula Srila Prabhupada gave us. The same cement and iron is used to make a disco where people will go and dance, and the same cement and iron will be used to make a ISKCON where devotees will dance. So everything is used in service of Sri Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Very beautiful class, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu, for coming on the call, Prabhu. Please give us some more in the future, Prabhu. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Dear devotees. Yes, Prabhu, please go ahead.
No, I'm saying that I'm talking to you for the first time, and it was also a personal pleasure to talk to you and share your reflections and how you nicely summarize whatever I spoke. So thank you.
Please bless me, Prabhu. I have no qualities and I am just an idiot, Prabhu, here in this group. So please bless me, Prabhu. So, dear devotees, please let us play our obeisances to Prabhuji. Pancha kalpatarubhya
Patitanam Pavanebhyo
Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ji ki jai.
His grace,
Braja Mohan Prabhu ji
ki
jai.
Hare Krishna.